Good morning. All right, how are you guys? I am not trying to be a talking head these days, but I don't know what I want for breakfast. I really just woke up. It's 9:30. I don't know about you folks, but I'm having a tough time with today's economy, with today's business practices. I really am. With today's corporate attitudes. I've really just kind of had it. All these companies got a bad attitude. If they don't have a bad attitude, they're just a screaming toddler in the grocery store. Where, gimme, gimme, gimme. Where, gimme. That's all these companies say anymore. They don't try to make your life better. They don't try to even give you anything that's worth anything. In fact, 90% of the time these days, the company that you're doing business with caused the problem. That's right. They caused the problem, and then they invented the solution that you now have to buy. So, I've just had it with this gimme, whiny, cry crap from corporations. Anybody older than you, have they always been like this? Because I thought, when I was a kid, they were actually like doing great, inventing technology, making people's lives better. Now I feel like they're making people's lives worse on purpose. And what I've seen in the last month is particularly distressing. Let's say you're looking for a job. Maybe it's your fourth, your fifth, your sixth, your seventh job. Okay? Whatever income streams you've got, start counting your jobs like that. If you're an Amazon affiliate, that's one job. If you freelance write, that's 2 jobs. If you have another affiliate account, that's 3 jobs. If you regularly ask or get for donations, that's 4 jobs. If you have a YouTube channel, that's 5 jobs. Okay? If you run DoorDash and Lyft and Uber Eats, that's 3 jobs if you do all of them 3. Start counting your jobs. How many of them do you have? I was trying to get job number 12 last month. 12. Job number 12. I have to think about that. I gave one up because it was no longer working. Like I shut down the screen. There was no work at the particular platform anymore. I don't know, but I was trying to get job 11 or 12 last month, and I wasted the whole month on it. The whole freaking month. Oh, I'm just kicking myself hard for letting this company waste my entire month. God. So, all right, sorry about that. My nose gets to itching and it just won't stop. I don't know what the deal is, but it's driving me nuts. It was an immediate fill position was what it was. And they were having a tough time finding people to do it. It was, but they weren't paying very much for it. And I didn't realize it when they initially gave me the offer, just how small this salary was. Until I started looking into it. It was $58,000 with a $12,000 sign-on bonus and like $1,900 in stock options. 1,900, not 2,000. Anyway, so they were calling it a salary of, let me math it out. $9,000 was what they were saying they were paying for this position. That's not true. The salary is $58,000. And that was the math that I'm doing everything on is $58,000. Stocks are useless. Stocks are not liquid. I can't buy a car with a stock. I can't buy groceries with a stock. Especially not one that's, what the heck do they call it? You can't have it right now. You gotta keep the stock and keep the job for 5 or 10 years or whatever it is. Vested, that's it. You gotta wait for those stocks to vest. So the stocks are useless. The bonus, I later discovered much further down the process that it's only worth about $8,000. The rest of it goes straight to the government. So the $12,000 sign-on bonus is really only $8,000. It was going to cost me about $6,000 to $7,000 to move. So there goes the bonus. They weren't offering relocation. And the $58,000 a year, that was going to get me into either an extended stay motel on the bad side of town, or I would have to wait, just like I'm doing here in Indiana, for an income assisted apartment. That's right. $58,000 is now income assisted. And that's terrible. That's terrible. $58,000 means you're still poor. So I'm starting to dig into this $58,000 a year salary, which sounds great to me until you start doing the math. I started doing the math on this $58,000 salary. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I can tell you this. In the past, when I have a W-2 job, the multiplier is 0.77. So I'm going to take home $44,660 a month. And then I started digging around with help of an AI bot, and I said, do they take anything else out of the checks other than FICA, Social Security, and all that trash? And they said, yeah. You're going to have to pay about $100 for your insurance a month. All right, so that's minus $1,200. So that takes it down to $43,400 a year. And they said, oh, if you want to participate in your 401k, that's 6%. So that would be, and they do 6% of the salary. When I'm doing it here, I'm going to math 6% of $43,460. So that's $2,607 minus $43,460. And the only reason you'd want to do that is because this particular company had a 50% matching. If you do 6%, they do 3%. And they match up to 6% of your salary, I think was what it was. So that takes me down to $39,853. That's assuming there's nothing else for them to take out. I once had a company that feed you to death. It was awful. My $40,000 salary at the time was like a take home of $23,000 once they got done with it. It was nuts. And let me tell you, I wasn't putting anything into investing. They were charging me for the car I had to drive. That's right. I had to drive a company car for this business, which is not as great as you think it is. You think company car, yay. It's not. It's not great. You don't own the car. If you crack it up, you got to talk to somebody about it. Whereas if you crack up your own car, you got to talk to your insurance company about it, and nobody really cares. Either get the car fixed or don't. When your car is provided by your employer, it's a much bigger deal. So anyway, my $40,000 salary several years ago was like a take home of $23,000. It was awful. So my take home here of $58,000 ends up being just under 40, 39,853 divided by 12. That's $3,302 a month times 0.33 means I can afford an apartment that is worth $1,095 a month in either Boston or Seattle. Those were my choices. And I went, oh my God. The only way this works, and it's not much better in Indianapolis. I actually ran the numbers in Indianapolis, and there's more affordable housing in Indianapolis than in Boston or Seattle. But we're talking more affordable by like $300 or $400. So I could make this $1,095 work in downtown Indianapolis. But it's almost impossible to do in Boston or Seattle. And that's what I was coming up with across the board. I could make this salary work anywhere in the country country. Except Boston and Seattle and probably Houston and Chicago too. And I'm just sitting back going, this doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't pay the bills. And it sounds like a good salary, and it's not. So I was like, the best case scenario here is that I have to have this salary take care of all of my bills. And then I cannot give up a single job that I've got. This will have to be job number 11 or 12 or whatever it is. And the rest of the money that I earn will have to be for groceries, supplies, clothing, everything that isn't a bill. Because this $58K, it's only going to pay bills. It's not going to do anything else. We have a real problem. That's a lot of money. And I ended up doing the whole raw math with the $58,000. I did the whole raw math. I did the 58, the 12K, the stocks, every stitch of income that I've got added on top of that without taxes. And if I had gotten this job, I would have made pretty close to $100,000 a year with everything. That includes things that aren't liquid cash that I do that don't result in cash money that I can buy things with. And it was going to end up being at like $100,000 in taxable income. And my take home was going to be less than $40,000 a year. That's horrible. That means that 60-70% of my income is taxed. 60-70%. That's ridiculous. And then what little bit I got left, I got to get housing, electric, gas, clothes, food, supplies. It's horrible. And I thought, after the first year, it'll probably get better for me. But this is horrible. I will take this job that basically doubles my income. And my living will be worse. Because the place I was going to have to move into had a microwave and a tiny refrigerator. That was it. And a coffee machine. It was going to be worse. We were going to make an awful lot of microwave meals, let me tell you. And it's very hard to be worse than where I'm living now. I mean, my oven's broken. All I have is a stove top. I don't have a microwave, but I've got a bread machine, a toaster oven, and a coffee machine. And this place I was going to have to move to was going to be actually worse. But it was right across the street from where I needed to be. So, that was a good thing. I was going to be able to walk, 2 minutes to work, which was what I was going for. And I had it planned out in that much detail. And poof, the job disappears. I'm like, and they wasted a whole month of my time. So not only did I do all this math and figured out just how bad it was going to be, at least for the first year, it was going to take me a year to get all my stuff out there. I was going to be able to get there with 3 bags, and that was it. And I was going to have U-Haul ship some more things because the train doesn't allow knives and forks. What is that about? So I couldn't bring any dishes or anything with me. So I'll be eating out until my U-Haul gets there. I mean, it was going to be really rough, but I had worked it all out to do. And the thing is, who does that? So think about this. The economy is so bad. Jobs are so scarce. Pay is so terrible. And this was $58,000 a year, folks. It was awful. It wasn't going to do anything for me. It was going to pay the bills. All my other income was what was going to get me out of the hole. not this $58,000 job. And when I got to thinking about it, I was like, I'm not going to be any better off with this job, at least not immediately, at all. In fact, the move is going to be awful. And the situation for the first 2 to 3 weeks where I'm going is going to be really hard. And I'm sitting here going, but I'm willing to do all this. Why am I willing to do all this? Because this would be my first W-2 job in more than 15 years. So I'm willing to go out on a limb and do quite a lot to get the job, right? I'll move 3,000 miles. I'll deal with living in an extended stay hotel with actually that wasn't fully converted. I'll front the move costs. You know, I'll do all this stuff to get that W-2 job. It was a really cool job too. I was actually looking forward to it. It was all brain, but it was interesting work. It was going to be very interesting work. And, you know, I'm willing to do all this. And I've got the experience. The job itself is was sort of a combination of every skill I've ever developed in my life. That's what it was. So it was going to be very interesting and very involved. And I was really looking forward to it. They just pulled the rug out from under it, though. It was, you know, they laid 30,000 people off. And that was the end of the jobs. You know, but who does that? Who does that? Who's willing to go that far? What if you have kids and a husband? You can't move 3,000 miles. You know, or it would be 10 times harder for you than it is for me. And it was going to take me 30 days to get out there. And part of that was just me packing up and throwing stuff away, and then I got to sell this house. And technically, that's another way I was going to raise the money to move. I'm only going to get $6,000 or $7,000 out of this house. And it's got to go to somebody that knows how to fix things for real. Okay? It needs more than duct tape and paint. So they're going to have to fix it for real. They got to really put a roof on it. They need to really redo both bathrooms and the kitchen. After that, you know, it gets a little bit less, but it does need all new electrical too. So you're going to put some money into this house. But in the end, whoever has it is going to have 1,700 square feet. They're going to have 2 bathrooms, 2 living rooms, 3 bedrooms. And for $6,000 or $7,000 plus the $80,000 you probably have to put into it, you're not going to get another house for that at this square footage with this much space, with this much stuff. You're not going to get it. Okay, the battery died. I was talking about selling the house. So I was also going to get the move money from selling the house. And this is a handyman special all day long. But that was part of the slowdown with me having to move. But I could do it. I could do it. And even if I didn't sell the house right away, I could still go. I can still go. I got family here that can mind the house, and if I have to pay the rent here, I can. I wouldn't want to, but I would sure as hell flip the electric switch and turn off the gas. That's for damn sure. But, so I was willing to move 3,000 miles. I'm willing to sell my house, which I got to do anyway. Here's the thing. I got to move anyway. It doesn't matter if I move down the street or I move across the country. I got to go. I got to get out of here. It's driving me crazy. Because I don't have the money to fix the house. Okay? I don't have the money to hire someone to permanently deal with the raccoon infestation. And I'm too in town to deal with it myself. So, I got to go. I'm being driven crazy by living here. And it's noisy. I moved here because it was very, very quiet. Now it's very, very noisy. It is really irritatingly noisy. And I'm not willing to put up with it here because I'm semi-rural. The only thing I should be hearing is crickets, literally outside in the grass. Or maybe the birds. Actually, we got a really annoying bird outside that sounds like water dripping. And like if I have the door open, I'll be like thinking a faucet is dripping. And I'll like walk in there and I'll be like, no, that's that stupid water sounding bird. Sounds just like water dripping. Most annoying bird ever. But anyway, so not only do I have all the skills for the job, I'm willing to move 3,000 miles to accept the job. I'm willing to show up in person 5 days a week. I'm willing to live in a room that's just a little bit bigger than my office, that only has a microwave, a fridge, and a coffee machine. And it's a little fridge. You know, what are you willing to do? I was willing to do all that, and I still didn't get the job. What is that for everybody else that can't move? You can't move 3,000 miles away. You know, you don't have anything to sell for moving expenses. You've got kids in school. You can't pull them out in 30 days. You know, what is it then? You know, you're geographically locked. What are your options? You know, technically, I'm not geographically locked. I can go anywhere. The economy is impossible. You can't win. Even if I were to get that job, I still would be on the struggle bus. It would just be struggle bus 3,000 miles from here in a hotel room. But marginally, things were going to improve inch by inch. And that's what it is. That's the state of the economy. And I'm just, what the hell? When my mom made $50,000 a year in the early 2000s, she lived in Castleton. Castleton was the hoity-toity. She was in a luxury apartment with lakes. She could go paddle boating if she wanted. You know, there was fast food everywhere. It was the middle of everything. Maintenance on site. You know, business hours, the office had people in it, and there was an emergency number. You don't even get that anymore. Even for the luxury apartments, that ain't the truth. This place is rarely staffed. Even if it says they're open, they ain't open. You know, and now $58,000, I can fill out an app for income assisted housing on $58,000 a year. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? We got a problem with this economy. And the bulk of the rest of my channel is, you know, you can eat on a low budget. You can eat on a food pantry budget. You know, hang in there. We're going to get through this. And I just saw firsthand how bad it really is. I mean, the news articles don't do it justice. I saw one the other day and it said, we're in a K-shaped economy, K-shaped economy. We are not in a K-shaped economy. And maybe the next video will be more news articles or something, but we got to be in a deep recession. When $58,000 doesn't buy anything, it just squeaks you by, and that's without a car. That's without a car. There was no car budgeted into that $58,000 because a car would be another $650 in expenses, plus the insurance. That's another $100 to $150, plus parking wherever I was going, which is going to be somewhere between $200 and $500 a month. Forget it. Forget it. It's done. Between the apartment and the car, there would be no money left. In fact, I would be in the hole just on those two items alone. So you ain't getting a car on $58,000 a year. It's just crazy. Folks, it's bad out there. It's worse than I ever could have imagined. I was sitting here thinking, prior to this, I was thinking, you know, it's just my industry. It's just the freelancing industry that's been hit hard. You know, it's just introductory programmers that have been hit hard. The guys just graduated. But no, this is 2008 all over again, and they're not calling it. Here's what's happened, and I'm hazarding a guess, but I think I know what's happened. AI came out. Now everybody's being laid off. Everybody's going into retail, food service, Okay, those jobs are gone. There's nothing there. There's no jobs. So everybody that's still hanging on by a thread with a little bit of income, they're doing all the gig work and they're just scratching by. Maybe not even just scratching by. But then you're trying to get another job and it's not there. So the whole economy is locked up tight. What else can you say? I think we are deep into a recession and nobody's calling it. Because it shouldn't be this hard. At all. Not at all. Shouldn't be this hard. So yeah, it's crazy. So there are my observations for what I just saw. It's an impossible scenario. And if I'm willing to do all that to get a job and still didn't get it, where's everybody else at? Where's everybody else at? I hate that. I would like to end on a positive note, and the only positive note I can say is I hope you have a great day. I hope your life is better than this scenario and that you have a job. And if you have a job, my God, don't quit it. Stay there, because I don't think there's another one. I can't find it, you know. But anyway, folks, that'll be the end of this video. Have a great day. I wish you the best. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will bring another interesting video to you soon. Have a wonderful day.